Yo, what's up, guys? It's Kale.
Hey, what's up? It's Renø.
It's your boy Revelgy.
And I'm Myra, and today you're watching Creative Muse.
Yeah. So, first of all, I guess I just want to say thanks, Renø, for coming out.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're a rapper from the Sioux City area, yes?
Yeah, locally, yep.
Very cool. Very cool.
How long have you been making music?
Man,
It's a hard one, right?
that's a hard one.
For any musician.
For any, yeah, I mean, like, since a little kid, but, like, I guess taking it serious-wise, 2017, so only a few years, technically.
Oh, so like 2 years.
Yeah, but, like, that's taking it serious. I've always, like, done it as a hobby, but I was never, like, like, I'm going to take this as a career.
Like a career path.
Yeah.
So what changed?
To be honest, I got asked to do a show before I had any music released, and they told me, like, oh, just a 10-minute set at the beginning. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna see if people actually like my music.
Yeah.
And I performed 2.5 songs. Like, one song was like cut in half.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And everybody liked it so much, and it was like so cool, like performing. And literally I started getting booked from there, and at that point I was like, ooh, I could really take this to a career now that I'm starting to get booked without even having any music out.
Yeah.
Oh, that's dope.
Without even, like, really marketing yourself necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's
Where was
really
that?
cool.
Where was your first
My very first show was, was it Sioux City Conservatory.
Oh, cool, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a winter. I think it was called Winter Bash. It was with El Tony. If you guys remember him, I'm not sure. He was a younger kid. He was like in high school, and he was hosting shows, like hip hop shows, and a couple of them got sold out, and he did like a little local documentary
Oh, dope.
about other artists, and then but yeah.
Yeah, so
That's
how
really
much,
cool.
like, collaboration have you done with, like, people in the Siouxland area?
Collaborations, that's actually really small. I've done mainly the people that are really close with me, so I'm pretty sure we're Young Rambo. I've collabed with him. We and him have a collab EP we've had done since last year,
Nice.
and we're still waiting to release that one. And then I've done a few collabs with a close friend named Zypher, which was
Yeah,
on
he was on your song.
Yeah,
On the album.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that was...
And me and him have a collab EP as well, and we're gonna be releasing that probably next 2 years. I don't know.
Awesome.
Nice.
That's really cool.
Feel you?
I did notice you're with DistroKid, right, for your distribution?
Yes, DistroKid.
Okay, nice. I'm doing the same thing. I
That's
recently,
the first one.
yeah, I mean, it's really great. It's
One
great.
fee, unlimited songs.
Yeah.
All your content up there.
Yeah, I was stuck in between TuneCore as well.
Yeah,
I
I've
did
heard a lot
TuneCore
about
for a few
TuneCore.
years before. It gets pricey because they charge you like $25 a song, $50 an album.
Yeah, that's what I was like looking at. But I was like, I was trying to think like the long term effect, what was gonna help me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then I saw like DistroKid like puts like your music on like TikTok and
On everything.
on everything.
Just
TuneCore
Instagram.
doesn't do that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's easy, and then like Shazam, like it's easy.
Yeah,
to-
it's on there too.
Yeah.
People can search it. Yeah.
So like I really looked at like the long term and what was gonna help me benefit.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And plus, if you're looking at making money of it, like the royalties are about the same.
Yeah.
And you're paying the TuneCore up front for a fee that, you just have a subscription basically. On DistroKid.
Yeah, because
Wow.
that was a big thing. Was like also the pay was I was trying to look into TuneCore, like does it pay more since I'm paying more for my music?
Yeah.
Right.
And then then I realized I was like it pays pretty much the same. So
Yeah.
DistroKid was
The way
hands
to go,
down
right?
what I had to go with.
Yeah, that's definitely like part of the process too. Like one of the things with Creative Muse is we kind of talk about both the process, but then also the intuition side of things, like the feeling of things. And so I guess maybe just to speak a little more about your process, you did mention you do a lot of pretty much everything yourself, or try to do just about everything you can yourself. Right?
I do what I can. There's times obviously like YouTube will have beats, and then if not that, sometimes I've gotten beats and I'll add on to it.
Nice.
And just like I don't know, small stuff like that.
Hell yeah.
Because sometimes making a beat, I'm pretty sure it's hard to get in the rhythm of it.
Yeah. Some of them you like play back and you're like,
why did I make that?
What what was I doing? Yeah.
You're like in my head, it sounded way better.
yeah. Or even at the time,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
even when you're making it. Yeah.
That's part of the
moment.
development.
Yeah.
It's
It
part of the
is.
development is going back, listening to your stuff, like, this is trash, but I can use this little piece
Yeah.
and, incorporate it with someone else's beat
Right.
or whatever.
It's the way I've heard it described before is it's like having a junkyard of ideas, because you just want to have all these ideas that you can go to, because like I meet you, I might have a beat that works really well for you that there's no way I could be on.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, so that's definitely the strength of like collaborating and having that junkyard of ideas, just having a bunch of them that you're like, some of them you're like, man, that's whack. Like that's not good.
but you know what? Sometimes some of those you can actually salvage.
Yeah.
And then go back and be like, oh, like, cause you know, after having some more experience, your ear is different. Yeah. You can go back to something you're like, I don't know why I did this, but now you know you can hear the music and like, oh, I can flip this direction and then it'll be dope.
Yeah, I can add this sample.
Yeah, like I've done stuff where I flipped it, and for instance, I'm sure you guys heard the first song, Ugly. So
you might have to kind of remind me a little bit, but yes.
It was like the intro, but it was very, I guess, like a sad song. But originally, it was auto-tuned, like all the way through.
On the hook? Or
on the hook, on the verse and everything.
Yeah, because you mentioned that, because that's one of the few songs that doesn't have auto-tune on the hook.
Yeah. And then I was like, we had like auto-tune. It sounded okay. Yeah. But then I was like, I guess sense of emotion. I didn't feel the emotion. I was like, I don't feel like people would vibe with it. And then I thought I was going to have to redo everything. Yeah. And then I told my engineer, like, hey, take the auto-tune off. And as soon as we took it off and I heard it, I was like, oh, I'm like, that has way more feeling to it. Yeah. So like I flipped it and I was like, oh, that was perfect.
Who's your engineer?
His name is Mike. He's at Cat House Studios in Sioux Falls.
Dope.
Nice. Very cool. And you said he has a lot of experience. He's been
a lot of experience. He's the GOAT, to be honest. Like I try to engineer sometimes, and I've tried to do stuff all on my own. Yeah. And I was thinking like, oh, super independent. I got to engineer and be like Russ or something like that.
Yeah.
But when I went to him, I realized how much inexperience I have and like how much I try to learn from him. But he moves so fast. Like there'll be times I'm like in the midst of recording and I'm telling him a slight idea. I'd be like, oh, I want you to pan my ad-libs like from both sides of the speakers. And he's like, all right, I already got that done. And I'm like, whoa, oh, okay. I was like, damn, all right.
But it's also like...
Like he's just that fast, or he's
just that fast. So literally, yeah, like I watched him record somebody else, and as like they're in the midst like of recording, they're literally in the middle of it. He's already editing the vocals like as it's going.
Wow.
And it's like nuts. I didn't even know you could do that. I thought it was like you have to record it, then go back and edit it, and it's nuts.
Dang, it's that insight. He just has that insight to just know here's my shortcuts and stuff like that. Myra, I kind of want to hear from you. I know you talked about how talent management is kind of something that you're interested in, and we haven't really heard from. What do you do? What do you?
Yeah, so right now I think like my passion is like networking and getting people to collab with other people, kind of like now. Yeah. And so I want to I would love to be a talent manager or just like to help people find the resources, including people that they may need to show off their work, because everyone should, if you got a talent, let's show it type of deal. So, so yeah, that's what I've been working on with here. But I kind of want to ask you I asked you about collaborations, but what about mentorship? Do you have like a mentor, or what do you?
A mentor?
Or like not even necessarily like a person that you see, but like I guess I asked you before like who you're inspired by. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I'm inspired by a few people. I say Chris Brown played a big part growing up. Just like seeing him evolve, and then I kind of grew up with that artist. And obviously, like I grew up with like Michael Jackson. Devastated when he passed away back then. But I started getting into who was the first? It was Hopson. He was the first rapper I like got into. And obviously I did like my research in hip hop, because then once I started from Hopson, I started going to like Tribe Called Quest, Wutang. I studied all the OGs, and I don't know. I was a big like boom bap head, I guess. Old school. I was like, I don't like that trap stuff. And I was an old head, and I was like in middle school just downing everybody. I was like,
that was me when I was
I was like, man, I was like, Tyga, man, he sucks and this and that. I was like, but then as like I grew older, I started liking more unique sounds. So then, like I told you, XXX fell in love with his sound and how he approaches things. just because like he did a little bit of everything. Like he was like considered mumble rap, then he was like punk rock, then he was poppy, and then it was like he did a boom bap with Joey Badass.
Joey Badass song, yeah.
It was nuts, like
I
to think.
I've heard that one,
yeah, just like how he bent the rules of like hip hop a little bit.
So yeah, like he kept his style. You know, no matter what he did, he always stayed himself, which I think a lot of artists nowadays fail to have.
Yeah,
because they'll try to imitate what's hot.
Yeah, and that's like to speak on social media. That's a lot of the influence that we think we like. You know what I mean? Like people are like gonna gear towards people who are more liked and have a better social media following and stuff, but people are gonna just like what they like at the end of it. And so it's better to just be authentic from the beginning.
Yeah, and just be straight up. I think one influence that I have, and you guys made me think of it earlier, is Kanye. I mean, he's a huge influence.
Big influence on me for my production, especially early on.
He is nuts. I mean, like as a person, it's so weird to try to understand him, but like,
exactly.
Man,
But I think it is because he is doing this authenticity, and he's also kind of playing a game a little bit. I think.
Yeah, he kind of. Like, I think he enjoys trolling social media.
Yeah.
I could definitely see that. I could tell when he made that song with Lil Pump.
Lil Pump.
Like, I love it.
Yeah.
When I heard that, I could tell he was trolling by his verse. So I was like, you could tell when he's rapping. You could tell when he's messing around.
But that's kind of cool. If I was an artist like at that status, I would love to just troll people and just
definitely
for sure.
make money off of it.
Wait,
anyway.
what was that one song? It was like a beat playing, and then he said it was gonna be like the hardest verse ever.
And it was the
Oh yeah!
I laughed so hard. I knew he was trolling, but people were like,
so good.
And you know, and that beat was so good too, which was funny to me. I'm like, damn, you gonna waste this beat on that? Okay, that's crazy.
That was so funny. Oh, it's so great. Yeah, and like that's stuff that people will remember because they remember what they felt at that moment, and that's what he's trying to capitalize on. He wants to make people feel something, whether it's positive or negative. He doesn't care. He just wants you to feel something because you'll remember it.
Yeah.
Speaking of like influences, I feel like lyrics are like, I think are super important. It portrays exactly like what you're feeling. And even if you have a writer, you are still gonna like be able to feel those feelings or have other people tune into those. I think one of the biggest influences is for me, I mean, like as far as what I listen to, I'm not a music, person like you guys, but
you don't make music.
I don't make music. What I like, is J. Cole. He's like my favorite. He's, I think he's
definitely.
J. Cole's dope.
Yeah.
The GOAT,
He's
but
one of the top 5 nowadays.
Yeah,
I just say my top 5
because he speaks on real stuff.
Yep.
And he's like not afraid to like just put it in your face and be like, this is it. And
right.
I think a lot of times rappers are just end up hating on each other, speaking on negative things, and that can be fun. It can be fun talking smack on smack on one another. But I think to be a big influence like that, you need to speak on some real things that are going to be hard to talk about and that are going to be controversial.
Yeah,
but
that's a good point.
Kind of going off from that, I was going to ask you earlier. So since you kind of mentioned your inspirations, right? As an artist, how did that help shape who you are?
Me? So originally, when I was younger, I wanted to be like a singer, and I was like, I was like 12 years old, and I set a goal. I was like, all right, when I'm 16, I'm gonna be famous, and I'm gonna be singing like Chris Brown. And I was singing my heart out. Like I'd be like headphones in, and my sister came up to me. She's like, "Listen, you suck, right?" she's like, "Yeah, you don't really have a chance if you're gonna sing like that." I was like, "Oh man." Yeah. So I think that's where I like started kind of downing myself. But then as like I got into like Hopson and whatnot, I would secretly write rap songs because then I was like, I don't think anybody would take me serious as a rapper. And I was very skeptical because I'd write it and I'd be like, wow, this is really good. And then as I'm rapping out loud, I'd be like, oh man, this is really trash. I don't know why I wrote this.
You feel like the cringe.
I feel the cringe. And then it started off as like my first, I guess, priority would be like I was like trying to focus on rhyming and being on beat. That like I didn't care about what my lyrics were when I was little. Like I was like 14. Yeah. And I didn't care what my lyrics were. I said words that didn't even exist, but I was just trying to make it rhyme, trying to do whatnot. And then eventually, as soon as that became easy, it was like an instant. Like I could freestyle and it'll be easy.
Yeah.
That's when the lyrics came into play, and I was like, all right, I want to be clever, and I started digging deep in similes and metaphors, and it would mind blow me to hear like something that went over my head, and then like you go back and listen to it, and you'd be like, oh wow, I didn't even notice they said that. And, like,
Yeah.
And it's just nuts. So then that's where I guess my whole little lyricism came into play.
Okay. For sure.
And you write all your stuff?
All my stuff, 100%. I'm very big on that. Like, for instance, I had a friend who always tried to help. He'd be like, oh, you should put this instead. I'd be like, no, I can't use that. And I'd be like, it has to be 100% me.
Yeah. That's authenticity, like, all the way through. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So, like, speaking on like, lyrics, who's your favorite rapper as far as lyrical content goes?
Oh. Man, there's so many lyricists. That's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I'll tell you my favorite MC is Big Pun. Rest in peace.
Big Pun. Yeah, he's dope. Yeah. Boomerang.
Yeah,
that's dang, I'm trying to. So many good artists.
I feel like that's always like anytime you ask a music question, it's like, man, what am I being influenced by right now? Like,
I mean, it's
so hard. It does change so constantly. Yeah,
at the moment for me would be After the Party, who's an R&B singer. But like, I heard a song called I think it's called Bupropion. It's like a pill, and he describes like his relationship like the pill, and he goes like. It's like a big metaphor, and everything he says, like it was weird. Like I had to break it down like a puzzle.
Yeah.
And it blew my mind when I found out what the whole song was. I literally had to like pull up the lyrics, do like research. I had to stop like the song and be like, oh, what did this mean? And like and his lyrics really like shocked me for an R&B singer, because I never expected an R&B singer to be so lyrically there.
Yeah, inclined in that.
And then his biggest hit is Numb, I believe. That's
Numb.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, definitely.
I might have heard it.
Yeah, he's jazzy, pop, like it's everything. So that I really enjoyed him as an artist, and the cool thing I like about him is he's so like anonymous. So like you don't know who he is, you don't know what he looks like. So like keeps it all secretive.
That is crazy.
That is crazy.
That's the thing, is like music is so transcendent of like who we are. And really, art, we were talking about that on the way up here, is just like art is really transcendent. Like when you look at a painting or whatever, and it doesn't, you feel something. Yeah. And it doesn't matter who you are, like, or what your perception is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, that's the thing. Everyone has their own perception. So, like, one thing will be beautiful in so many different ways, you know?
Yeah.
For however many people are listening to it or watching it or looking at it. And
it'll have a different meaning and carry a different purpose for each person too. I know, references, I guess, is another thing that I always think is really cool in rap songs. Like whenever, and like what you said, like you listen to it the first time, you go back and you're like, oh, I get it now because I get the reference. Like, like I think, like I really like Post Malone too. He's another big influence for me.
He's a dope artist.
Yeah, and he has a line, where he says no jumper. And you know,
Adam 22.
Adam 22. So he says no jumper. He's like something about basketball, but I have no jumper. And you're just like, that's a reference right there. And I didn't get it until I had seen the podcast. Yeah. And I knew about them. So
I did a similar thing. I did a reference or like a little homage. So my last song, No Face. A lot of people told me when I was first getting the chorus done, they were like, oh, it reminds me of a kind of like Trippie Redd. And when I heard that, I got inspired to like start my verse. Yeah. And do you know Trippie Redd's song Love Scars?
I don't. I'm not. Yeah.
So that's like his big brand and like his big main hit song. Yeah. Yeah. And so in the beginning, I was like so dark. I said I put my pain aside on art. I'm just trying to mend my own broken heart, and they really think I'm trippy with my love scars. And then like I said that as like a little homage.
Nice. That's cool. I love doing that kind of stuff. Yeah. We've been on that lyricism thing like for real right now. Oh yeah. Like trying to come up with really good ways to say things, and G and I too have also been on this kind of positive wave of just like we really want to be positively influential.
Good vibes, good energies.
Yeah, exactly.
Good people around.
Good vibes, right?
Yeah.
Because we kind of talked about that on the way up. Like sometimes you don't know how much like a negative song can like affect people. And it's just being all put out there, and people are just gonna take it in, you know.
Right.
So putting out those good vibes is like key.
It's huge.
But then we also talk about how like you know those.
You kind of need. You got to get that stuff out too. Yeah, like
it's fun. It's just fun to listen to some of that.
Yeah, when you're working out, you're in the gym.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, like some hype music.
Yeah,
exactly.
like some hard stuff like Rick Ross, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
That's funny.
I wanted to ask because you say you had 18 songs and then you cut it down to 7 on the album, right?
Now it's at 8 songs. Yeah.
8 songs. Okay, so how did you go about that? Like, what songs that you not want to showcase, and what made the album what it is today?
My big thing is like I'm skeptical. Like when I'll listen to like J. Cole, for instance, his KOD, and I loved like his meaning behind it, where he was trying to go. The only thing I personally thought he lacked on it, but like I didn't like bash on him for it. Was his diversity. It all stuck nearly the same. So then, like, at a certain point, I felt kind of bored, and I was like, all right, I'll listen to the rest later. And me, I wanted, because I'm a new artist, and I'm trying to get people engaged, hooked to me. I didn't want to sound the same. So, like, I would have some songs where it's like, oh, that kind of sounds similar to this one, or I flowed similar to this, and I'm like, I don't want that. I really want every song to stick out and be different. And
I love that.
That's important because
awesome.
some people aren't gonna care like you do. They're gonna just put it out, and they're gonna be like, "It sounds dope. It sounds like and it's gonna sound so repetitive, and people are,
like
it's
DJ
not
Khaled.
real.
It's
dope. This
Another
is the
one.
dopest.
It's the same formula, because he always does another one.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, and something that I've heard a lot too is ultimately you are writing the same song like over and over and over again. And so you are gonna have some songs that sound really similar. But there's more albums. You put out your sophomore album, your third joint, whatever. Like
we've talked about like writing an album as like your alter ego or as like your second. I don't know if you
like
want to
Igor.
Yeah.
Writing like second person.
Yeah. Which is really cool. Like just creating a story in your mind that's not even real. Like just getting that like creative flow going with whatever you have. And some people want to be more structured, and that's okay. But like you said, there's always just another album. There's always another project.
Definitely.
Or collaboration. Or feature, anything.
Tyler, the creator, has that line. He's like, he's writing these songs about other people. He's such a effing faker. And that line like really sticks out to me because like, I mean, you can take a different person's perspective and write a song. And like, that is really cool. Being able to like take that and showcase it, even though it's not necessarily your experience, like you're still like telling a story.
It's like Joyner Lucas. He'll write perspectives on like other people. And I thought that was nuts. That's what makes him personally unique. Is he goes such in a story mode.
Definitely. I love it when people tell stories. Like Hakeem has that one track that's like 9 minutes long.
Oh, that's who I was gonna say. My first show was with Hakeem. That's what it was.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You opened up for him?
I opened up for him. It was his show at the Winter Bash, hosted by El Tony.
Okay.
Okay.
And
we've been talking to him too. So
I think we're gonna book him.
Hakeem, he's dope. I never got had a full conversation with him because he's a busy man. But
he's gonna cut my hair.
He's on a podcast.
Right.
But I just remember I got offered. I had to say yes, obviously, and then it was nuts to like share the same stage with him. So.
Those are opportunities that, like, the ones that kind of just come and you're like, I have to do it. You know?
Right.
Take them.
But we've also talked about how, like, when you do meet people like that are influential or have a big following or whatever, like, it's good to be able to just be authentic with them and just be straight up. Like, I love that when I meet somebody that, like, everybody's like, oh, that person's so amazing. Like, what was it like to be in the same room with them? And I'm just like, I mean, they're just a person.
Like,
they're
a human being too.
Like, what's Oh, go.
I was gonna ask because I think one of my favorite tracks on your project is You and I.
You and I.
I really like that song. And like, was that song about your experience or was that?
So basically, I was going through a really, really rough patch, and kind of like I don't know, just weird rough patch in like a relationship.
Yeah.
And I was like by myself, and I think I was sitting on my kitchen counter.
Okay.
I was sitting in Indian style, and I had the music blasting. I was like all my feelings, and that song just like came out, and that was actually one of the fastest songs I've written. It was like 10 minutes I wrote that, and it was just like pure emotion, and that's why I wanted to keep that song like on there.
Nice.
Yeah, because you can tell you really felt everything you were saying.
Yeah. I've had a couple songs come out like that, and it's the best feeling. Like you're
like
like this is going on the album. I know.
Yes.
It's not a question. It's not like you have to hunt through beats. You're just like, this is one of them.
Yep. I knew instantly, and it felt like I just got done working out, like really, like, you know what I mean, like weight is off your shoulders, and it's like I felt like I could take a nap afterwards.
Relief,
I was
right?
like, oh, this feels nice.
Yeah, that's some good stuff.
Yeah.
And that helps you like get through stuff sometimes. I mean, some people writing a certain song about a certain subject really helps you confront something and kind of get it out of the way.
Yeah, that, or just like, people write poetry. I remember when I was younger, I had a counselor, and they told me to like write out like my feelings, because like I had a little temper issue as a kid, and so then they would always tell me like, oh, when you're mad, write it down, don't speak with your hands, kind of deal. And I was like, all right.
There you go. I did too. Mine was more like arguing with my parents. a lot of yelling. I've kind of learned it's just like it's much better to have a constructive conversation and solve the problem. Like at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like we all want the same thing. We all want a resolution. So
Yeah.
let's figure out how to get there together.
Yeah.
And with everybody happy, But,
Yeah.
So with those songs that you have that you didn't put, like that you, I guess, didn't make the cut, are you still working on them? Did you just set them aside?
Some of them I completely deleted just because I was like,
It's good to keep them. It's good to keep it.
Yeah, I have a big, long storage thing of songs I don't have released.
Nice.
But yeah, some of them I was like, I could put for like singles, because I don't know, I have a lot. Like before this EP, I had a different album that was gonna release, and it was called Burgundy, and it was a 22 song project.
Wow.
And then when I went back and like listened to everything, like, cause I had like skit, I had dialogue, I was supposed to be like a big like thing for me.
Production.
And as I listened to it, I was just like, oh, this doesn't really like. I felt corny listening to myself. So then I was like, this didn't make the cut, so I threw the project away. But there were certain songs I nitpicked, and I was like, I'm gonna put these as singles for the future for 2020 kind of deal.
Cool.
There you go. That's awesome.
Yeah, she would do it.
We want to write with you too, probably.
Do a song if you're down, man.
Yeah, even if it's like small, I like working with people and being like, even if it's like I'm not on the song, but it's just like I got to be a part of it. Like, whether it's like, say you're making a beat and I'm like, oh, let me add a guitar in there and I play like a certain thing. I enjoy doing small stuff like that. Like, I don't necessarily have to be there, but I always just like being a part of it.
Yeah,
that was mad dope.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is something that just came back. I had it before, but I like
go for it.
So this is your first project that you put out?
First project I put out.
So what do you foresee going forward?
Really good one.
Going forward, I see it as obviously I'm trying to look at it as more of a business versus before it was like a hobby. So now I'm looking at what's next, because the media runs so fast. Like, the internet runs so fast. So like, what was it? I think it was only like a week. Like my numbers were going up sky high. Like more than I thought. I pictured only making 1,000 streams, and I've made like probably over 5,000-6,000. And
that's good.
That's
Man.
dope.
Yeah, and I was like,
stuff.
for a first EP locally, and it was really dope. And I was like, all right, but people are bound to find something new. Like, some people's attention spans are small. They're like, oh, this is dope today, but tomorrow this is gonna be doper, kind of deal.
Yep.
So now I'm thinking, future wise, I know people like visuals, so I'm focused on music videos, as well as like that. During that gap when I'm releasing music videos, I want to release music as soon as I'm done with those music videos.
Yeah.
So it's just
constant
being
cycle.
consistent. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Any shows coming up?
Consistent.
Shows at the moment, no. I've been holding off on a lot of shows.
So you're just like saying no right now, or?
Yeah, like I've been offered a few shows, and I just been like focusing more on like making music, because last year I've done so many shows. For a second, like I think it was for 6 months, I was doing 3 shows a week, and like it took a lot out of me, because then it would be like I do a show in Sioux City, then I go to Omaha, then I go to Lincoln, Nebraska, and I go like here, like it just, and then it felt like really long. Like even because I'd bring my friends with me, when we get back home, we'd be like, wow, even though it was 3 songs in 1 week, it was so exhausting, and we were just like, oh, okay, we're ready to go to bed, kind of deal.
Yeah, dang.
Be, yeah.
Well, and like sometimes it takes just days to recover from that too.
Yeah.
Like I DJ a bit, so I haven't really gotten to do my own shows yet. But
Yeah.
that is one of my goals, is to be on stage and be doing my own music. But like, yeah, even just after DJing, it's like you get home and you're just so worn out, and it's a good feeling at the same time. Like it feels very accomplished, but it takes it out of you.
It's good exercise.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
Depending on the crowd, because I've had some where it's like I performed for crowds where it's 5 people, 2 people,
Yeah.
and I still try to have fun and like
got to
look at it as like practice. So like I'll kind of just make it more
Right.
one-on-one type of deal. But
You
when
can
it's
have a lot of fun with those people too.
yeah, it is fun to be like, oh, I want a drink, and they'll buy you a drink, and you got so stuff like that. I've literally shouted that out once, and I was like, whoever wants to buy me a drink can buy me a drink, and like midway through a song, somebody's like, oh, here, crowd, pound on the rocks. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But
that is pretty cool.
besides that, like when it's like a bigger show, like I get like this like little rush of adrenaline, and it's like, I don't know, it moves so fast. Like my songs feel shorter, but like I'm going through it, and I put so much energy. And there's been a few shows my voice goes out like midway through my set or towards the end of my set, and it's just nuts. And then like I still try to keep going, so even though my voice is slightly out, I'm like yelling even louder in the mic, and then people are of course getting way more hyped. So they're like, oh wow, he's really putting so much emotion, and then really I'm just trying to
get through it. That's funny.
But that adrenaline is like pushing you.
Yeah, it
further,
pushes me.
So yeah. I did want to ask you about your tattoo.
Yeah.
So what inspired that? Like
So I've always I always told myself I thought I had a beautiful mind, because I tend to overthink things. I break things down a little too much, more than I should, I guess, technically.
Overanalyze.
Yeah, I overanalyze everything. Like I don't know how to like really put it into words.
No, I know what you're saying though.
But but it comes in with music, so like I'll break down, and that's what makes, I guess, my lyrics so like lyrically inclined. Is I overanalyze it. I'll be like, all right, I need to think deep. What's gonna throw them off if I do this? And so since I thought I had a beautiful mind, that's why I wanted it right here on my head. Yeah. And I had it in Japanese just because it was my favorite.
It says beautiful mind.
Yeah. Well, it says beauty, and then it's on my head for mine.
Nice. That's
I
cool.
like it, yeah.
Have you ever had anybody that's been like, oh, you take life too seriously because of that?
Because of that?
Yeah.
I have some people at work that were like, oh, that's not real, is it? And then what am I going to do future-wise? Or why would I do that to my face? And I'm...
Oh, no, and I didn't mean the tat.
Oh.
I more meant, like, because of how your mind is.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the fact that, like, you think of everything so deeply and, like, and really analyze it. So, like, it's something I've experienced is, man, some people are not on that level.
Yeah, so a lot of people think
act like they're not.
Yeah, they think I take stuff a little too seriously. And then, I don't know, yeah, people that have told me, like, I take things too seriously, or I need to calm down about some stuff. And that's where... kind of the first song intro, Ugly, I kind of explain is like I felt like I need to calm down, just because like I felt like I was at a state of like just pure darkness, I guess. That's why I was writing that. And when I had the idea for Faulty Mind, that's why I called it Faulty Mind, because I feel like I'm a very mistaken person and misunderstood, because then a lot of people will misunderstand me and think like, oh, just because like I make music, they think I have a big ego, or they think take life too seriously, all that other stuff. And people will come at me all different angles, kind of attacking me just for like what I do, and then it's just like I feel like I'm very misunderstood.
Yeah, and right, like some people might look at your tattoo and feel a certain way because they're very like surface level.
Yes.
They're looking on the outward and they're not looking like inside. Like we had a conversation at like I had a beard.
Yeah.
And I shaved it down to this. But ultimately, like I was trying something out because I wanted to see how people would react.
Yeah.
Like traditionally, a mustache can be kind of weird.
Yeah.
But when I've had that mindset of like, oh, mustaches are weird, they're creepy.
Yeah.
Then when I shave and I have a mustache, I'm like, oh, I look creepy. You know? But if you're confident about who you are and you're confident and you're good with that, then those other people's influence doesn't touch you.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, no, I look good because I feel good. And that's
So you're
and
like
you express it outwardly.
rebranding the mustache, you know?
Exactly. That's the goal. That's what we're going for.
Bringing it back in the thick style.
I could understand that because going back to the tattoo, like for instance, I got it done early in the morning, like as soon as the tattoo shop opened, and it was a quick 10-minute tattoo, and then I was hungry. I was like, I'm gonna go to McDonald's, and so I walked right into it, and early in the morning is like bunch of like old people.
Older people, older people with
So,
their
like,
breakfast.
Yeah, they're getting their breakfast. I'm in there, and then an elderly woman was right in front of me, and she like takes her order, and like my tattoo is showing, so like I'm like my hair's up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I'm looking at what I want to eat, and she looks at me, and then I just smiled at her like kindly, and then she looked at me like I was like some criminal. She's like, I was like, dang. I was like, is this the reaction I'm gonna get now? So like, it was funny.
Yeah.
But other than that, like everyone else, I think it's face tattoos are getting more and more common. So like, nobody really reacts.
Tattoos in general. Too.
Yeah, just tattoos in general. Like, I go to work, they did not care. I have like coworkers that have neck tattoos, head tattoo. Like, so it's nuts.
What do you do outside?
I'm a casino dealer at a Hard Rock.
Okay.
Yeah.
We
So
can
deal
check
cards,
it
it's
out.
a little
You work
part-time
today?
job.
No, you don't work today.
Nope. I have 4 days off.
Nice.
Nice. Hey,
Yep.
there you go.
Relax
You know
a
what it
little
is.
bit.
Yep. Relax.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an easy part-time job. Just something on the
Gives
side.
you the time you need, though.
Yes, that's what I wanted because I'm trying to dive deeper into music. So that's why I didn't want to like go for something full-time. But I want something obviously that pays the bills.
Right.
Yeah.
So
You got to be responsible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a certain point like. You know, I hear some people, they're like, yep, I'm just going to go to my mom's basement, write this music.
Yep.
She has to pay for my food. She has to pay for that.
She has to do my laundry.
Some stuff like that. And I'm like, all right, man. Like, at a certain point, you have to do adult things, you know?
Yeah.
Gotta
Like,
grow up.
Yeah.
That's a
How
huge
old are you
point.
again?
I'm 22.
22.
Okay. Yeah.
I was
man.
like, can you even drink? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know, met you maybe like 2-3 years ago. I don't know.
Yeah, I was, when I first started performing, I was 20.
Okay, it was like probably around that.
Yeah, 2000.
Yeah, because I remember I was getting booked for shows, and then some people asked me, they're like, okay, so, like, since we got you booked, how old are you? And I would tell them, like, oh, I'm 20. And they'd be like, oh, okay, well, you have to have security walk you in, and then you're going to have to, you know,
get walked straight out.
yeah, in and out kind of
really?
deal.
Yeah.
So then, or even sound check. They'll be like, all right, you're going to come in, do sound check, and then you have to leave, and then we'll tell you when to, like, come back. And so, like, it was kind of weird, kind of a hassle, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it was dope to, like, be able to perform for, like, people that were older than me.
Yeah. That would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is something that I heard in a couple of songs.
Yeah.
You're talking about like trying to break the system that we're in right now and trying to unite people, you know, no matter what, you know, they are or where they're from.
On 3 a.m., right?
Yeah. So what do you what do you do for that, or are you, or that's something you're looking into?
I want people to overall, I do have a message eventually, and this is just a start. So 3 a.m. was like my first message. But like I kind of did it like, you know, like sneakily put it under there.
Love that.
I basically want to talk about equality and how I feel like the system that we live in makes us not equal. And I feel like that's the reason why is because there's such a fight for power, like the presidency. That's why I don't really dive deep into politics, is because they like to rank everybody like rich, poor, this and that.
Yeah.
And then it breaks it down, and then they're against other people, like we're like, I guess, rivals with China, Korea, whatever. And it's like, and then it starts becoming a race thing, because then, you know, this person's from here, this person's from there. Yeah. And then everybody starts like thinking, discriminating each other. And then I grew up bashed on by like all my cultures around me. So like I'm Hispanic, but like I don't know Spanish. So then people would bash on me and be like, you're not really Hispanic, you're a white boy. But then, you know, say I hang out with like a group of white kids, I'm too dark skinned for them. Yeah. They don't want to hang out with me. So then I'd go like anywhere else. And it's just like I don't know how to really put it into words, but
why did you name it 3 a.m.?
Because that's what time I finished writing it.
I like it.
And it was such a deep song, and I wrote 3 a.m. and 4:23 the same night. And it was right before, it was my very first studio session. And basically the night before I was like, man, I should probably come out with some songs. And so I had some songs and I didn't like them. So then I was like, I gotta do something new. So those I like looked up, I was like on YouTube, I was like, well, what looks good? And saw 3 well, I forgot what the beat was actually called, but it was 3 a.m. and instantly got hooked, wrote that song and got done at like 3 a.m. And then I was still in the mood to write. Like usually I'm done after one song. Right. And I was like, okay, I need to find another song. And I was so driven. I was like, 423 came up and I just felt the right instant hook. Yeah. And then I just thought it'd be funny to put like the time whenever I finished it.
Yeah.
So is your kitchen table the place you're usually at when you're
kitchen table?
Yeah, you said you.
That's the counter. The kitchen counter. Yeah, kitchen counter. At my old place, it was my kitchen counter I'd sit at, and I had a sound bar in my living room, so it'd blast and like the floor would shake and everything. So like it would. I'm a sucker for bass, but
me too.
Yeah. So then it'd blare all around there, and I'd be like sitting corner of my kitchen, but recently I usually I have a desk. I'll write there, but sometimes like to be alone from some people, I go in my basement. It's kind of a shady basement, but like it makes me feel weird. Though, but I'll be like in my own little bubble.
So I did want to bring it back to one thing, and then we're probably at a good spot. I mean, I definitely want to talk to you more and more. So like we're definitely gonna have to keep this up. But going back to what you said about like just the competition and like when it comes to how we're all just in such competition with each other, when if we think about it, like the really big goals, the really big, huge, important goals, like going to space or whatever, just for an example. We only accomplish those if we're all working together. And if we're all like, pushing towards that goal.
That's something I said in like 3 a.m. So I said I'm more focused as a human race. I'm not focused as a nation. And that's where like the whole politics things comes in, because they're like, we're a nation, so we got to fight for America. And then Trump's bashing on Mexico and this and that. Right. Like overall, we're all human, and that's what I want to like tell people. Like stop hating like European. I have a friend in Estonia, they bash on Americans. They're like, they're so fat, they eat fast food all the time. Their large drinks are like really big compared to their large drinks. So they'll bash on us for that, and I'm just like, all right, let's like put all that to the side, let's focus on the bigger picture, because everybody's so one-track minded. And then I don't know, I feel like if, like you said, we all work together as a human race, we would really move forward in the world.
That's a great message.
Well, and another thing is like maybe approaching problems or things that people have that are problematic, and doing it so in a healthy way. Because
confrontation's always hard though.
Yeah. Well, but I guess what I would say is
it doesn't have to be confrontational.
It doesn't have to be confrontational. It can be encouraging.
Conversation.
You can like using that as an example, like drinking large fountain drinks or something like that. Maybe I have a friend who, man, they're just addicted to doing that, and I can see that it has a negative effect on their health or something like that. I'm not gonna be like, "Oh, you're fat." I'm not gonna, that's not gonna help. It's not solving anybody's problem. It's definitely not gonna make them feel better about themselves. So it's better to say, hey, like, I'm concerned about you. I care about you. I see that you do this, and I know that, and speak from experience or something like that. I feel like that breaks so much down. Like you really get to the heart of it, and you really say, okay, like, how can I help you? I just want to make you the best possible person that you can be, And if you don't want it, that's fine. You know,
but
that's where we end.
Sometimes you can't like control people's reactions, and people are gonna take it as confrontational, even though it's
True.
not. In like your intentions are 100% real to just like make them a better person.
That's
and
a
some
good point.
people's like mental stability is not going to allow them to think that. You know what I'm saying? So it's also important to just know. Be respectful.
You need to know
yourself.
where that barrier is.
Yeah.
And
Be
once you hit the
respectful.
people's barriers, then then that's usually where. But also
Getting to know
planting
people.
seeds and knowing when you can say, "Hey, this," and if they don't, maybe deal with it at that point. A lot of cases, people will down the road.
Yeah.
Or you hope they will.
Exactly,
your
and
art-
that's all you can do is hope.
Yeah, just hope. Yeah.
But in your art, there shouldn't be no filter. You know what I mean? No filter. Just
Right.
Yeah.
Be
I agree.
authentic. Be
Yeah.
Be
You gotta
Yep.
be you 100%.
Yeah. But other than 3 a.m., the other message I had was, if you heard, obviously Ugly and No Face. It was the intro and outro. I'm talking baseline of depression and stuff, because that's something I feel like that's really big in this generation.
Oh, yeah.
And like there's a lot of like suicides that go on, or just people that secretly hide that they're depressed, and it's like kind of sad to see, because then like they act like a way different person.
They numb themselves.
And I want people to like connect with me, so like No Face, I really come forward about that. And then and I feel like that's like a small situation I want to talk over, and then go about the bigger picture, which is human race.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That is super awesome.
That's pretty. And then I think the song before No Face, you mentioned that you feel separated from people.
Separated.
As far as.
In No Face, you mean?
Yeah. I think it was No Face. Like you feel.
I feel
like
separated.
they're not-
Yeah, that was towards the end of the verse. I felt very separated just because that came in with race. Like I grew up moving house to house, so I kept going school to school to school.
Yeah.
And I kept being the misfit kid that was in the back. And
Yeah.
I was the new kid every couple months or every year. And at a certain point when you get older, nobody talks to you. Everybody has their group of friends they talk to.
Yeah.
So I grew up very, very alone. And I felt very separated. So then I grew up observing everybody more. And I felt like that's what put me in the mind state I am now. Is
Yeah.
like, instead of growing up typically where like a lot of kids in high school were partying, hanging out with friends, doing typical stuff, I was very like watching everybody and then like observing and then really just thinking about things.
It's cool that you figured out that can be a strength.
Yeah.
Because I know, like, my brother kind of went through the same thing. He moved from Nebraska to Colorado and back, and, like, it was so hard on him. But being able to say, okay, here's this thing that made me feel this way, and flip it and say, but I'm able to observe people so easily, you know? Like, that's really cool.
Yeah. And then also with with the separated thing, I feel like that's something a lot of people who are either depressed or really sad, they feel separated.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I felt like that was something that would be something everybody could relate to. Like everybody at one point in their life feels separated from the world or too detached.
Yeah.
And they feel like, oh, what am I to do now? Like life almost feels pointless, and you have to kind of break through that wall to like realize there's much more to it.
There is.
Yeah.
Definitely. Dude, I love the positivity.
Yeah.
That's great. Sweet. Well, I think we're probably at a good spot.
Well,
unless you have
Thank
something
you
to
for
say.
having
Yeah.
us.
Thank you so much, Renø.
We wanna,
thank you guys.
We want to thank K-Wit for letting us use their space.
Yep.
And shout out to Jorge.
Shout out, Jorge.
Shout out, Jorge.
Cool.